After dominating the Formula One grid for 3 consecutive seasons, many would imagine that the Red Bull driver Max Verstappen would be popular among fans. But it turns out that might not be the case. Over the years, F1 fans, including staunch Red Bull fans, have fallen in and out of love with the Dutch driver, and their reasons range from his driving style to his attitude in general. So in this video, we'll be discussing what fans actually think of Max Verstappen. When Verstappen made his debut with Toro Rosso in 2015, Formula One lovers were impressed by his speed, technical skills, and ability to make the most out of his car. It also helped that he was so young, everyone simply adored him. Then in 2016, the narrative changed. Verstappen moved to Red Bull in 2016 and he immediately wanted to become a dominating force on the grid. That was a remarkable move, but unfortunately, he got on the wrong side of many fans and drivers due to his aggressive style of driving. During the 2016 Belgian Grand Prix, his reckless driving style was very evident. Verstappen had been ahead of the Ferrari driver Kimi Räikkönen at the start of the race, but the Ferrari driver tried to get ahead at turn 1 and it resulted in a collision because Verstappen aggressively defended his position. That could have happened to any driver, but what happened next was what enraged fans. Verstappen's car had suffered great damage from the collision and there was no way he was going to get a good result anymore. But rather than slow down, he showed that he would rather run everyone in his way off the track. He was bent on fighting aggressively rather than letting anyone through. This demonstration really angered fans and drivers. Kimi Räikkönen in particular couldn't hide his displeasure. The former Ferrari driver had said, "I almost crashed into him and had to apply full brakes." Sooner or later, his driving style is going to cause a huge crash. However, as he spent more time on the grid, the Dutch driver's aggressive driving style became less conspicuous because he was making fewer mistakes. And in 2021, fans fell in love with him again. The 2021 season had been particularly exciting for fans because the Red Bull driver had gone toe-to-toe with Lewis Hamilton, the dominating champion at the time. The races had kept everyone on their toes because no one knew who would win. And to make things more interesting, both drivers had gone into the final race of the season with the same points. In the end, Verstappen had finished ahead. Although there were some controversies concerning that result, many fans were thrilled about Verstappen's win. Dutch fans in particular had gone wild on social media, singing Verstappen's praises. It was quite a beautiful moment for the driver and the time. But Verstappen couldn't remain on the fans' good side for long because in 2022 he did something fans couldn't easily forgive. It was the 2022 Brazilian GP, and Verstappen had already secured the Drivers' Championship title for the season. The gap between him and the other drivers was so wide that he could have decided to not participate in the races left, and he'd still have been in the lead. But Verstappen didn't take that into consideration when he made a decision during the race. His teammate Sergio Perez was just a few points from securing second place on the Drivers' Championship table, and going into the race, he had hoped to secure enough points to aid his cause. Ironically, his teammate had prevented that from happening. During the final lap of the race, Sergio was right behind Verstappen, who was in 6th position. Knowing that Perez needed the points, the Red Bull's race engineer had pleaded with Verstappen to let him through, but Verstappen blatantly refused, saying he couldn't do that. It was an infuriating moment for the team, Perez, Red Bull fans, and F1 fans in general. Because what would it have cost him to do something that little for a teammate who has helped him in numerous situations? Here are some of the reactions of fans on Twitter, now X. One fan said, "Max's decision is just strange. Forget the morality of it, cause whatever, it's F1. But why not throw your team and teammate a bone when it costs you nothing? It'd have been just good strategically for the long term, no?" Another said, "This was his first chance to set things straight and he took it at his settlement. Not a great look for him or the team, and very selfish." A Red Bull fan also chipped in, "I'm a Red Bull fan and a Max fan and I agree. I think Max was trying to get him at the very end, seeing how close he was, but he should have given up and let Checo pass." To make things worse, Verstappen remained unapologetic to fans about his decision. He claimed to have had solid reasons for his decision and called all that he read online about his behavior disgusting. To immediately put me down is pretty ridiculous, to be honest, because they don't know how I work within the team and what the team appreciates about me, so all the things I've read are pretty disgusting. Although things soon cooled off between Perez and Verstappen, many fans just couldn't see the Dutch driver in a good light. and a good proof is their reaction to his dominance on the grid in the 2023 season. From the very first race of the season, everyone could guess that the Red Bull driver would dominate again because the Red Bull car was a rocket on wheels. Then things got a little bit exciting when his teammates started winning races and seemed like a sturdy rival. However, that didn't last long, and Verstappen won every race till the Singapore GP. Usually, many fans would be thrilled by his impressive performance, but their reactions whenever he won a race showed that they were already bored. For instance, many of the audience booed when he took the podium during the 2023 United States Grand Prix. And when he wasn't on the podium during the Singapore Grand Prix, fans were excited. According to an article by a Dutch newspaper, Die Limburger, even his ardent Dutch followers were already getting bored of his dominance. The fact that even Max Verstappen's most ardent fans are showing signs of saturation is a sign of the writing on the wall. When comparing Verstappen's dominance to Mercedes' dominance, you can see the fans didn't easily get saturated during Mercedes' reign. This might partly be due to the fact that the grid was more competitive during Mercedes' reign. But some fans have confirmed that the Dutch driver's attitude to his wins also plays a part. One fan shared on social media that Verstappen's wins were passionless, and the absence of a show of excitement whenever he won a race was what pulled them further away from him. What people don't understand is that the reason we dislike Red Bull Racing / Max's dominance so much compared to the other eras is that everything just feels so clinical and passionless and empty. The current world champion doesn't feel a single thing as he wins, and it's so frustrating because if he doesn't care, then why should we? He continued by comparing him to other F1 champions. Schumacher lived and breathed this sport. Vettel would have married his car if it was legal. Hamilton felt every win like it was his first. And now the only emotion this guy has is indifference. To the point where I honestly believe he'd rather be playing a video game than actually racing. However, there's a group of fans that doesn't agree with the claims of Verstappen being passionless. If you don't see that Max absolutely loves racing, you're not paying attention. This man lives and breathes all forms of racing. Does he care for the interviews and extra shit? No, but racing can't get enough of it. And the latter is true because the Red Bull driver spends a good part of his free time racing. Verstappen might not be a favourite, but nobody can argue that he is a very talented driver. And although very loyal fans might worry that the negative reactions to his performance would affect him, the Red Bull driver has shown time and time again that he is only about winning and nothing else. In a statement he made after his loss at the 2023 Singapore Grand Prix, he made it clear that he wasn't bothered about what fans thought and called the Red Bull fans who were not in support of the team's dominance a fake. And he might just be right because true fans should always root for their team. Although Verstappen is not without faults, there's a good chance many fans misunderstand him. What do you think of him? Kindly let us know in the comments section below.